This video will show you how to set up a workstation in Carousel. We presume that you have already set up the server. There eventually will be another video to show you how to do that. This diagram gives you an idea of what a network situation would be. You will have one server, and that server doesn't necessarily mean a server in the Microsoft sense. It only means it hosts the database and the system data files. You can have as many workstations as you want. The only limitation is your budget and Microsoft. Microsoft puts a limit of 10 workstations if you don't have a true server, which costs many, many dollars. So for the purposes of this video, we will assume that the server has been loaded up. It has the database. It has all the data files. And you have shared all of that stuff in the network sense of sharing. Keep in mind that all of the workstations have to be on the same network subnet. That's kind of a technical term, but it basically means that the same router has to connect the server and all of its workstations. Each workstation will have only the executable programs that Carousel provides. All the data and the database is all on the server. The workstations can connect to the server via the network. You can even have workstations that are located in distant places if you put in something called a virtual private network. That's more than we want to talk about in this discussion here, but I have several clients that are doing that. You can load your workstation software by several means. You can use a USB thumb drive, or you can use a CD. The best way, though, is since you already have a server already configured, is to do it over the network. The first thing you have to do from the workstation to the server is to map a drive. This drive will have a drive letter connected with it, and all of the programs can refer to that linkage by that drive letter. I'm not going to try and tell you here how to map a drive because there's a lot of different ways to do it depending on what systems you have and what your IT department will allow. I'll just simply say here, somebody needs to do it. For the purposes of this demonstration, our local disk is going to be the workstation, and the data disk is going to be our server. Somehow or other, you need to copy over some files, either from the server, or from a thumb drive, or from a CD. For this demonstration, we will use the server. The first file you need to copy is auto distribute. So you can do a right-click and a copy, and then go up here to the root of the local disk, do a right click and a paste. Once auto distribute is loaded onto your workstation, click the little arrow and click on deal, and you'll see setup.exe. Some systems you only see the word setup. Double click on it, agree to the UAC, and this is simply telling you that you shouldn't have anything else running at the time. We are going to have to change the directory. We can give it any name you want, but I like to use the word auto, A-U-T-O. We'll say OK to that. And we want the directory created, yes. Then you click this funny little button. That brings up this screen here, which is simply asking you, do you want to put it in the start system for the Windows? Say yes. Every now and then you're going to see a version conflict because the installation system is trying to install a Microsoft program older than what's already there. In all cases, simply say yes, you want to keep the file that's already there. When it's done, you get this message and you're back to your file manager. What we did by running the auto distribute program was to load in some Microsoft provided routines called DLLs. These DLLs are needed by the tools that Microsoft provided for me to create this program. Once we've finished with the auto distribute installation, you can see that we are left with an auto folder that we created during the installation. There's really nothing in there. What we need to do now is to copy some more information from the server. So if we move down to the link to the server, what we want to copy over is the bin directory. Right click on that and hit copy, and then we'll scroll up to the auto folder, do a right click on it, and a paste. You'll see that it's copying quite a bit of stuff. In fact, it's almost a gigabyte of information. When that's done, you'll see that the auto folder has a folder under it named bin, and it has a folder under it named tools, and it has a folder under it named CS2 PDF. Next, we have to install the CS2 PDF system, and that's in the auto distribute folder as part of its root. You go over here and you find setup CS2 PDF. Double click on it, agree to the UAC, accept the agreement, which there's really not much of an agreement. You can read all this stuff, you don't have to. We want this stuff to go to our local disk, auto, bin, tools folder. Say OK. Then next. It says it's already there, but that's okay. We're going to create a desktop shortcut and finally install it and finish. We next have to pull up a Microsoft written program called ODBC, which you can find by putting ODBC in the search tool and click on the 32-bit. There's a 64-bit one. You don't want that. You want the 32-bit one. The ODBC screen comes up and it shows a series of tabs. We're interested in the system DSN. This has to be done in an administrator account. If you only have a standard account, then you'll have to use the user DSN. We're going to add a driver, Microsoft Access driver. Finish. You'll notice there's a whole bunch of drivers listed here. And in fact, there's several access drivers, which is what we're interested in. But they're in different languages. There's Spanish, there's German, and of course English. You have to pick the English one. The other two, for some reason, do not work. And we're going to put in a data source name. Of Carousel Cars. We're then going to select, and you'll get a screen with 5 different little areas in it. Since we are a workstation, we have to connect to the network. So we're going to click the network button. And keep in mind, we've already mapped our drive. So there it is. For some reason, we have to do it all over again. And finish. It's going to reconnect at sign in. So now that we've mapped the drive, here we can select that mapped drive, the X drive, and we can drill down, auto, DB, and we can select the database we're looking for. Generally there'll be only one, and then OK your way out. So we brought the file manager back up. We're now going to go to our local disk C, to auto, to bin, and we're going to find the splash program. We're going to right click on it, copy it, and then go to anywhere on our screen, do a right click and a paste shortcut. First time that you run Carousel, that is to say double click the little horsey here, you will get not this wonderful screen, because I've already run this, but everything will be jumbled in this upper left-hand corner. The way to get around that is when you first double-click that button, hold down the left shift key. Then everything will appear like this. There's only a couple more things we have to do. The first of those is to download the Adobe Acrobat PDF reader. To do that, you bring up your favorite browser and you go to adobe.com. They change their homepage all the time, but generally if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, you'll see this little thing here that says Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. Don't know what the DC stands for. If you click that, then you get this page, and you have to be careful about them because they're going to try and give you some crapware. So you want to uncheck this. Then once you do that, you can download the Adobe Reader, and it'll ask you if you want to save the install file, and you can run it. Just double click it. And once you start running it, it goes pretty much automatically. I know all this is pretty involved, but the good news is you only have to do it once per computer. People ask, are the changes that you make on the workstation going to be seen by the other computers? And the answer is yes, because the database is on the server computer. So all computers talk to the same database. So any changes made by any one computer will be seen by all the other computers. If you are using a SQL Server database, then there's some significant changes to this video. I will one of these days have to make a video to update this video for SQL Server.